It's time to bring the 49ers to the forefront.
It's go time. This is the best team that they can put on the field this year.
Welcome to Niners Nightly.
You guys are going to hear it. The latest from the locker room, the latest from the podium, the latest scuttle from the players.
On your proud home of 49ers football. Touchdown! KNBR, the sports leader. Your faithful fix with your host, Larry Kruger, begins.
We'll take phone calls. We'll talk Niners for a full hour. Fired up. Really excited.
Now.
A Martinez knee coming, and it makes it a guarantee. The Niners come on the road to New York and upend the Giants 34-24. They ground and pound their way to 6-3, and they avenged the loss last week to Houston with a 10-point win over the Giants.
It'll be a big ice bag game for both teams, the way this game was played at the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly the way the 49ers want it.
Niners win! Niners win! Niners win! Welcome to Niners Nightly, post-Monday Night Football edition. Cardinals beat the Cowboys tonight, 27-17. Man, it was great watching Jerry Jones and his idiot kid up in the box, sitting there watching the game. They had Jimmy Johnson. They could have fallen into a hole. They would have been the greatest dynasty in the history of football. But no, you had to get rid of Jimmy Johnson, and they have been stumbling around in the dark ever since. Dallas falls to 3-5-1, and they lose at home to the Arizona Cardinals, who had lost 5 in a row. And I will say this. Cardinals had to wait for their first-round pick to get healthy and get right and everything, but Walter Nolan, oh my goodness. If you want to say, who the Niners should have taken maybe instead of Mikael Williams, did you watch Walter Nolan tonight? Former 5-star high school recruit, former Texas A&M star, 4 tackles, 3 solo, a sack, 2 tackles for a loss, a pass defensed. In that sack, he got a hit on the quarterback. First game as a Cardinal, and he was just way too much. Interior pass rusher. How great would Walter Nolan look right now? So there you go. Cardinals 27, Cowboys 17, and the Cowboys lose on a day where, Jerry's talking trades, and the trade deadline's coming up tomorrow, and Jerry's Cowboys are in the mix for a bunch of different guys. And Jerry's claiming he's making moves. So we'll see if the Cowboys make a bunch of moves between now and the deadline. But the Cardinals get the win, and suddenly that game on the schedule looks a little bit more daunting for the 49ers. But we're here to talk Niners, and we're here to take some of your calls as well. 808 KNBR, the phone number, if you're driving around on this Monday night and you want to talk a little bit about the Niners. 34-24 over the New York Giants. Great win for the Niners. Mac Jones continues to play really good football. Christian McCaffrey was spectacular. Jawan Jennings is playing hurt and playing well. Tatum Bethune had 16 tackles. And Eddie Pinheiro is the greatest kicker in the history of kickers ever since he put on a Niner uniform. 19 for 19. They started the year with Jake Moody. They found Eddie Pinheiro on the side of the road. He's 19 for 19. I mean, it's like a movie almost. The Eddie Pinheiro story. It's like one of the favorite, guys in the room right now is Eddie Pinheiro. People are actually suggesting that the Niners ought to give him a contract extension right now. Just like, Eddie, let's lock you up. We've experienced the pain, and now you're alleviating that. So Eddie keeps making field goals. Mac Jones keeps playing well, 5-2 now as the starter filling in for Brock Purdy. And Kyle Shanahan today at the presser said, hey, there's no quarterback controversy. When Brock's ready to come back, he's the guy. This is his team. And I get that totally, because you can't have chaos. Just because Mac Jones is playing better than a lot of us thought he could play, and he looks like a fit in this offense.
It's a great feeling.
It doesn't mean you can just inject chaos into your whole building by just going, yeah. Mac looks pretty good, and we'll just have to see how it goes. No. You got to have some hierarchy. You paid Brock. You told your owner that Brock was the guy that you should pay. You told everybody that Brock was the only quarterback you wanted. So, I mean, you gotta stay, you gotta have some semblance of structure to your program. And That's what you got to say, Brock Purdy. And then not only that, that's what you got to believe, that Brock Purdy is your guy. You signed him when he's healthy, put him out there. Now the question is, he's got an injury that, he's not healthy right now. And then the question is, how do you play your hand? What do you do? It's turf toe. Shanahan kind of said it earlier this week. It's not going to fully heal for the full year, so he's going to have to learn to play with some pain. So then it's just a matter of, well, when's the right time to make the switch back to your starter? The more rest he gets, the better. We had a doctor on a couple weeks ago who's an orthopedist, and he said, hey, 2 to 6 weeks is normal for turf toe, but he means 2 to 6 weeks off of it. And this guy's been practicing. So figure maybe more like 8 weeks, something like that. They took 2 weeks initially, then he came back, he played against Jacksonville, it got worse, and now Mac Jones has been there ever since. And the Niners at some point, they're saying, hey, Purdy's getting better and he's working his way back. What do you do if you're the 49ers? Do you go back to Brock Purdy, and if so, when? And is there a cutoff point where you say, well, if he's back by this point, we'll go with him, but if he's not back until that point, then we won't? And then you say, well, Krug, who's the better of the two quarterbacks? There's no doubt in my mind that I think Purdy is the better of the two quarterbacks because of all the mobility that he has. And, he's also a great processor, but he has that next level movement ability that creates, value in his game and can create a ton of space. And heck, we've seen him use that mobility. But mix in turf toe and what that impacts as far as your ability to throw with accuracy, your ability to drive the ball down the field with show arm strength, your ability to scramble and get away from these incredibly athletic defenders that exist in the NFL right now. I think it's all compromised when you have turf toe. And I think if you say who's better, Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, I would say Brock Purdy is the better quarterback. But if you said who's the better quarterback, Brock Purdy with turf toe or Mac Jones, I think it's Mac Jones. I really do. I mean, I think Mac Jones is, because they both can process. But if Brock doesn't have the same accuracy, he doesn't have the same arm strength, and he doesn't have the same mobility, he's not really Brock. In fact, that escapability, I think, is what makes him kind of next level. And if he doesn't have that, and I think probably with the turf toe, that's impacted to some degree. How much, it's hard to say. We haven't seen him play since Jacksonville. But I'd ride the Mac Jones, winning train further. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't go back to Brock Purdy. I would. But it's week 9, and the bye week's in week 14. And I don't think I would want to do one of these, try it here, go back, try it there, come back. They've already been juggling these quarterbacks. If I were the Niners, I think I would take my time, let Mac Jones play against the Rams this week. And then as long as they continue to win games, keep Brock Purdy out through the bye week, through the week 14 bye. Now I think you can look Brock and your fans and the team and everybody and say, hey, look, we did, they told us to give it, 2 to 6 weeks. We gave it 8 to 10 weeks. We did above and beyond what, was asked for to try to get that thing right. Why do I say the bye week? Because 1, it's not that far away. 2, at the bye week, you still have 4 games coming after the bye and then the playoffs, and you hope to make a long run in the playoffs. So that's, 3 games in the playoffs and 4 games at the end of the year. That's still 7 more games of trying to play the rest of the year with Brock Purdy. And I don't know if he can get through it. I mean, none of us do, right? None of us know. Shanahan's like, hey, he's going to have to play with pain. He's going to have to be able to endure this and this and that. And he's not going to be able to shake this until the offseason. So, I mean, it's all a guess. There is no real, it was like my favorite thing, what I'd hear from a teacher in high school. There are no right and wrong answers. Oh, yes. That's what I want to hear. It's all based on our BS opinions. It doesn't matter if we're right or wrong. There's no right or wrong answer. I love tests where there was no right or wrong answer. Just awesome. Let me just express myself. But what is the right answer for the Niners? And that's where you guys come in at 808 KNBR. What would you do with quarterback? Do you stay with Jones and say, you know what? He's been in there, just ride with him the rest of the year? Do you go back to Purdy? And if so, when? I would say I would go back to him, but not till the bye week. And then we'll see from there. And if he can't go after that, then I'm going with Jones the rest of the way. That would be my plan. 808 KNBR. What would you like to do? Let's go to the lines. Let's see. We got the call screen. There we go. Cam's in Morgan Hill. Cam, you're with us to lead us off on the Sports Leader. What's going on?
How's it going?
Good.
Good. Yeah, I mean, if Mac can still get a winning, at least 3-1, maybe. I mean, Rams are looking tough. Maybe just if we do lose the Rams and win against the Cardinals, Panthers, and Browns, I'd say keep him past the bye week. If Brock can wait, and if we make the playoffs, there's a good chance if Mac can win these next maybe 6 out of 8 games. I mean, save him to the playoffs and see what happens there. But I mean, if we're struggling, then yeah, I would keep him out till bye and have him come back at the Titans, maybe the Colts. But if Mac can win a good percentage of these games coming up, I think there's a chance we go to the playoffs.
Well, they're right now the Niners are one of 8 or 9 teams that are like have 5 or 6 wins, so they're all tightly grouped. I mean, that's kind of the other question: is who is the team to beat in the NFC playoffs? I would have said the Packers, but they just lost at home to Carolina. I would have said Detroit, but they just lost to J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings at home. So it's kind of a week-to-week thing. Philly looks good, but then, Philly lost to the New York Giants just a couple weeks ago, and they've got their own struggles. So that's another thing. I mean, it's who's the team to beat in the conference? It may be this team that the Niners are playing on Sunday. It may be the Rams with Stafford and their really good defensive line. They might be the team to beat. So my point is just this: it's wide open. It's absolutely wide open. And if you said to me, should the Niners commit to going with Mac Jones the rest of the way right now on November 3rd? I would say, well, I don't know about that, right? Because you do have 265 or whatever, 55, whatever it is, wrapped up in Brock Purdy. I think he's got to play when he's healthy. But then the question is, when do you want to do this? I'll say this. I wouldn't want to ride all the way until the playoffs and then go to Brock in the playoffs. I'd like to see Brock get into a regular season rhythm and show that he can be durable, through 2 or 3 games in a row. Before I would say, you know what, let's try to bring him back for the playoffs. I'd like to get that settled ahead of time. Don't you think? I mean, you could hold Brock. I mean, one plan says stay with Jones all year. The other plan says stay with Jones until the playoffs. My plan would be stay with Jones until the bye week. And some people are like, go to Purdy if he's ready this week, go to him this week. So there's a lot of different ways they can play their hand. And I would say it doesn't matter, but it actually does matter. And it probably will determine their success or failure this year, how they play their hand and how the health of Brock Purdy's toe kind of fares. So who do you think? Who's the team to beat?
I think the most complete team is the Rams. I know we beat them in overtime with Mac, but I think they've gone just a bit better than back then. But yeah, I don't definitely agree with you. Maybe bringing Brock back to Titans week. I wouldn't say it's an easy game, but it's an easier game than the rest of them. And see if he can get a rhythm in going and see if he feels better. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. Bringing him back and seeing if he can get a rhythm going with the Titans.
But man, what an acquisition Mac Jones has been. I mean, if the 49ers go on and do anything this year, in the playoffs, and Purdy gets right for a period of time and he gets back in there, and maybe Lynch makes a move in the next 24 hours for some kind of a defensive front 7 piece, and they, somehow they find their way through the NFC playoffs. I mean, they get the Super Bowl at home, and they've got Christian McCaffrey. So it's going to be interesting. I'll say that's the other thing, and we appreciate the phone call, Cam. Have a great night in Morgan Hill, and it opens up a line at 808 KNBR. Really, the questions of the night are threefold. Who's the team to beat in the NFC? How do you play your hand at quarterback? And the third question is, what do you want Lynch to do before 1 o'clock Pacific tomorrow? 4 o'clock Eastern, I believe. 1 o'clock Pacific is the NFL trade deadline. Who do you want? what do you want? I mean, I would say I'd like to have two things for tomorrow. Two things I'd like to have. One is just anybody on that front seven that could be a difference maker. I'd much rather have a defensive end than a defensive tackle, but just somebody who's a real difference maker. And, either take a not a wild stab, but take a kind of a low cost kind of acquisition like a Michael Clemens from the Jets, who I think probably be had for a day 3 pick. And I think Michael Clemens in the Niners scheme with Chris Kasarik could totally flourish. And I think you could get him for nothing. I mean, relatively nothing. So I'd either try to make a move like that, try to operate cheaply on the margins for a guy like Michael Clemens, who I think in the Niners scheme and the Niners, with the Niners coaching and everything and their atmosphere, I think Clemens could take off. He's a 6'5", 270-pound, very passionate defensive end who's sometimes he colors outside the lines. Sometimes he bends the rules a little bit. He's kind of emotional. He'll go after guys sometimes. But, man, he's a talent. And if you can get him pointed in the right direction, man, that would be a nice acquisition. I don't think it would cost much. Or like a difference-making defensive player. Like, you look at the 49ers depth chart. Long-term, they don't really have any tackles, signed up long-term. I mean, Kalia, no. Elliott, no. Givens, no. And there's talk that the Titans are going to move Tavondre Sweat. There's talk that the Jets are listening for Quinnen Williams. Both those guys are amazing interior players. Sweat's more of a run defender. Quinnen's more of an all-around player. Quinnen's obviously making a boatload of cash. Sweat's on his rookie deal. Either one of those war daddies in the middle that you could get to play D tackle and give you some rush, that could be a foundation piece player that goes beyond 2025. So I definitely would love to see Lynch do something like that. Sweat is just such a broad run defender, so powerful at the point of attack. And I think in some ways he could be the perfect kind of body type and game to play next to Mikael Williams for the next 5 or 6 years. And obviously Mikael Williams looks like a guy that when he gets healthy, and of course today he's out for the year, he could be a really good interior player opposite Tavondre Sweat. Quinnen Williams makes a ton of cash, but man, in a lot of ways, Quinnen Williams is exactly what they had in Buckner. Quinnen Williams is exactly what they wanted to sign in Hargrave. Quinnen Williams is big time, and he gets paid a lot of money, but, man, he's probably worth it. He's probably worth it. And if the Jets are willing to move him, they're stupid. And if they want to move him in, I would absolutely be all over Quinnen Williams. So I think that one defensive front seven piece would be really nice. I think it's a necessity. The other thing, it's like you got, I love Shanahan and Lynch, and I think they, make a lot of smart decisions. But, man, you got to finish these games with some other back than Christian McCaffrey. I mean, there they were in the Meadowlands there on that MetLife disaster turf, up 10 in the fourth quarter, up 10 against a really bad Giants team, and they're still handing the ball to CMC. Those throwaway carries at the end of games. Let's say you're going to win 5 or 6 more games this year. That means you're going to have some back carry the ball probably at the end of these games to put the game away. Do not make Christian McCaffrey carry the ball in that situation. Those are the running backs going to get crushed carry because everybody in the place knows you're trying to run out the clock. You finished with Elijah Mitchell in the past. You got to find, maybe it's Brian Robinson, maybe it's Garendo, maybe it's somebody that's not here, but do not finish with Christian McCaffrey. Figure they got 5 or 6 more wins in them. That and this back typically gets 5 or 6 carries in the fourth quarter. So we're talking about, 25 to 30 carries against, when everybody in the joint knows you're going to run it against a loaded box with a player that we would all deem as indispensable. I mean, that's not how you deal. That's not how you treat your indispensable items. You don't drive, you don't take your Bentley off-roading. You don't take your Pagini and start running through a rock quarry. You just don't. You got a sports car there, and you're running him in the fourth quarter up 10 against the New York Giants on the disaster turf. I mean, come on, Kyle. We got to be better than that. We got to find somebody to finish out these games. That's anybody. I mean, hand it to Garendo. If he fumbles, he fumbles. And if you don't believe in Garendo, then maybe it's time to move Garendo at the deadline for a back that you do believe in and hand him the ball in the fourth quarter. I take Elijah Mitchell back in a heartbeat. Absolute heartbeat. He never fumbled. He always blocked what was given, what it was blocked for. He got. He wasn't special in any way, but he could finish games. They got to find a back that can take those 25 to 30 carries. Because here's the thing: do the Niners have a chance to win the Super Bowl? I still think they do. Maybe I'm naive. I still think they do. But it starts and ends with they got to get to the playoffs with a healthy Christian McCaffrey. So that's their chance at this thing, is a healthy Christian and riding him through the playoffs. And instead, you're running him on the MetLife turf in the fourth quarter up 10 against the New York Giants. I mean, come on. Got to have a better plan than that. All right, let's take another one here. Rob's in Dublin on the Sports Leader. What's up, Rob?
Yeah, it's Rob from Brentwood over here. Hey,
Brentwood.
Just going back.
What's going on, Rob?
Yeah, Brentwood. Yeah, I heard earlier on the air you guys were talking about the Mac Jones and Brock Purdy deal. I think we wait until, like you were saying, we wait until the bye week.
Bye week?
And yeah, because I mean, I don't know. It's just I don't know. I think Brock Purdy, like, for some reason, I feel like he's, it was a good story here and there, but I'm kind of leaning towards Mac Jones now, though.
Well, Mac, I mean, it's not like, what? I mean, I've heard people say it is a ridiculous conversation. No, it's not. The Niners have to have some semblance of normalcy and they have to play it straight, right? But they see the same things we're seeing. They see that Mac Jones looks very good in this offense. Mac Jones looks like he was born to play in the Kyle Shanahan offense. Now I believe the people who said that Kyle Shanahan in the 21 draft wanted Mac Jones, because when you watch Mac Jones play in Kyle's system, he does everything that Kyle wants. He processes where to go with the ball. He plays on time. The ball comes out. He'll take the underneath. He plays with rhythm. He throws with accuracy. I mean, he's smart. I mean, there's a lot of factors there. He can operate with a lot of all the emotions and the I mean, they just do so much. There's such a high volume offense. They're so multiple in so many ways. This guy can handle it. This guy can absolutely handle it. So he's a great fit. And I think Purdy's probably better because when you factor in the mobility, but with the turf toe, when he gets to the top of the drop, he looks like he wants to build a house back there. He doesn't look like he wants to run. He looks like he doesn't. He looks the opposite. He looks like he doesn't want to run, and then that's a big part of his game. And then the accuracy is a big part of his game. It's not quite the same, and the arm strength is looked amazing in July, and not nearly as amazing in the brief views that I get of practice in the last month. So we'll see, but I do think it's got to be killing Purdy, because I mean, this turf toe, I mean, the guy had it all on his plate this year. He looked amazing. I can't even tell you guys how good Brock Purdy looked in July. He looked so good. He was hitting Jordan Watkins on these 45-yard bombs down the middle of the field, and him and Kittle were in lockstep, and it just looked like Brock was going to have a monster year. And then the turf toe, and, it's just been a mess.
That's just the way the Niners go, huh?
It is. Sometimes you just kind of wonder about the, luck. I mean, there's luck in sports, and sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. And when it comes to injuries, I mean, they just cannot get out of their own way. I mean, they've tried everything. They've tried to draft guys who were healthier in college, and they tried to change out their training staff, and they've, changed their facilities and their work habits, and it's like nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing changes.
It sucks because it's like we got the easiest schedule in the NFL right now, and we got all these injuries, but Bethune looking good, and
Yeah.
McCaffrey's starting to pick it up, but it's just tough, man. NFL.
Well,
Anyway, that's my
tomorrow.
2 cents.
Appreciate it, Rob. Have a great night in Dublin, man. Appreciate you. Tomorrow's a big day. Is John Lynch going to be able to give this team some help? I definitely think at 6-3 that there was a whole thing of like, hey, the team needs to earn, the right to have a trade edition, and I think at 6-3 they have. I think they're, especially when you look at this league. I mean, look at the NFC right now. Dallas just got beat at home. Some people think that we're making the argument, oh, watch out for Dallas. What? Watch out for Dallas? No, thank you. Watch out for Dallas.
So my wife,
Go ahead, Rob. Rob wants to jump back in.
My wife's
ahead, Rob.
family is all Dallas fans. All right.
Appreciate it, Rob. Have a good one, man. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, people have said that in the last couple of weeks. Hey, watch out, the Cowboys. The Cowboys, the way they can score points, they can just get a little help on defense. Help on defense? They traded Micah Parsons at the beginning of the year. Now they're looking for help on defense? Somebody's like, yeah, they just need an edge rusher. They had Micah Parsons. And then the Commanders are cooked. You saw the Jaden Daniels thing yesterday. He's probably going to miss a game or two. It's non-throwing elbow, but it was kind of a gruesome injury. And they're just not playing well. I mean, they've regressed significantly. So I mean, you got the NFC East is a one-team division. It's the Eagles, and then Green Bay. There's just something about Green Bay that ain't right, and I can't put my finger on it. But they're just not. I mean, Love looks pretty good. Obviously, they've got a lot of talent. But this weekend they lost Tucker Kraft for the year. And he's like their all-world tight end, and he's gone. So that was a kick to the gut. And then I would think the Lions, if you said 3-4 weeks ago, who's the best team in the conference, I probably would have said the Lions. But you know what? The Lions, the offensive line this year, with Frank Ragnow retiring, Jared Goff was sacked 5 times yesterday. And their backup quarterback is a guy named Kyle Allen. And if you don't know who that is, neither does anybody else. So the Lions and Goff's not mobile. And he's operating behind kind of a questionable line. And for the first time yesterday, Jahmyr Gibbs got shut down and the Lions had absolutely nothing. So, the Lions may not be this all-world team. Some people like the Bears, but Caleb Williams is very up and down. Tampa looks good, but Tampa is just maybe the most injured team in the entire league. Now Mike Evans is gone. I would say Tampa probably roster-wise was maybe the best roster in the NFC, kind of on the down low coming into the year. I don't think people realized it, but they lost Kalijah Kancey, and they lost a lot. They lost Gadecki and Kalijah Kancey, and they've lost an awful lot. And across the board, bunch of DBs. I mean, Tampa's been really banged up, and they're still leading their division. Carolina's been kind of the surprise team. But nobody's buying Carolina. And then it's like Seattle looks pretty good right now for sure. Some people would say Seattle's the team to beat in the NFC. The way Sam Darnold's playing, I mean, Sam Darnold looked fantastic the other day. And now, if you said to me, who do I think it is? I think it's the Rams. I mean, look at the Rams this weekend. They put up 400 and something total yards, and they gave up like 200 total yards. They weren't playing a very good team, but still. The Rams have Stafford, Puka, Devontae, Kyron, kind of a little bit of an underrated offensive line, and a killer defensive line. And pretty good talent on all 3 levels of their defense. So I don't think they're an awesome team by any stretch, but if you don't get pressure on Stafford, he can carve you up and throw 4 touchdowns and throw for 400 yards and make you look bad. And then their defensive line can pin their ears back and hunt your quarterback, and they can make some, they look good. I mean, to me, they look really good. And then you got the Niners. And the Niners, the thing about tomorrow that's so interesting is I think Lynch has to do something because I think the team has played well enough. Also, the 49ers are in it. I mean, let's make the argument. Should you really play for 26? I mean, I get it. You have no Bosa, you have no Warner, but who knows? Maybe you might be more injured next year. And then when's your go year? If you don't go for it this year, I mean, is Trent going to be on the team next year? Is Kittle getting any better? Is CMC getting any better? Is JJ going to be on this team next year? Is Trent getting better? I mean, you could make a really compelling argument that the Niners, need to go for it this year just because there's no big bully in the NFC. And who's the best player in their team? Probably Trent Williams. Is this his last year? I mean, it's either his last year or his second to last year. Talking about a Hall of Fame left tackle. So I think they ought to. I mean, I wouldn't trade my number one pick, but man, if I could make an underrated trade or add a significant piece to my D line or add a little bit more dependable third running back so I can finish some games, you just got to have a game plan. And to me, my game plan would be get another running back, get rid of Garendo, get another running back to finish games with, and get to the playoffs with a healthy Purdy and a healthy CMC. I mean, do the Niners have a chance to win the Super Bowl? If they've got a healthy Purdy and a healthy CMC, they got a shot. Robert Saleh coordinating the defense, healthy Purdy, healthy CMC, they got a shot. If you don't have a healthy CMC, because you ran him into the ground, finishing out wins against Carolina and Indy and all these teams down the stretch, you might have a good record, but that just means you're going to lose a playoff game at home because you got to have a healthy Christian to get to and through those NFC playoffs. This is a huge opportunity this year too, with the Super Bowl being at home and the whole league. I mean, the Chiefs look like the best team in the AFC, but they just got beat, and they look like they're kind of limping towards the finish line of their dynasty. The Niners haven't gotten this ring that this ring, the sixth Lombardi Trophy, has proven to be elusive. And sometimes you win it with one of your epic teams. But you know what? Any long, old standing, Niner fan could tell you that the 88 Niners that beat the Bengals in Super Bowl 23 were not an all time Niner team, were they? They went 10-6 and they got hot at the end of the year and they got hot in the playoffs and they were unstoppable down the stretch. And they had a great Hall of Fame quarterback and he made it all happen at the end. But you could make an argument that the 87 Niners, who went 14-2, that lost to the Anthony Carter, Wade Wilson Vikings at Candlestick. You could argue that team, that 87 team was better. And you could probably make an argument for a couple other teams along the way as well, 92 and others. But I mean, 87, they had an incredible team. And they got bounced by the Vikings in the playoffs. 88, they did not have an incredible team, and we're not having an incredible year, but they got hot at the end, and they rode it to a championship. And I guarantee you talk to 49er fans, Super Bowl 23 counts just as much as 16, just as much as 19, just as much as 24, just as much as 29. In some cases, people consider that the greatest 49er Super Bowl of all time. It was clearly the greatest finish of all time. And that wasn't just the vintage. That wasn't the 84 Niners, but they found a way to get it done. And all I'm saying is they got an opportunity this year, a healthy Brock Purdy at the end of the year, a healthy Christian McCaffrey, some really great coaches on both sides of the ball, some really great improving young players that are hopefully going to get better as the year goes on, and a down year in the NFC, Super Bowl at home. It can be done. It can be done. All right, let's do this. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back with more Niners Nightly. Larry Krueger with you till 9:30 on the Sports Leader.
Kittle, the tight end, to the right side. Shotgun snap for Jones. He
McCaffrey.
takes it. McCaffrey's wide open. Left flat. The pass floats in. He pulls it in along the left pylon for a 49ers touchdown.
Tremendous play call. There was nobody within 15 yards of Christian McCaffrey.
It's a great feeling. I think we worked really hard this week, and we had a good week of preparation and came out and wasn't perfect, and we'll correct those mistakes. But I think this team's pretty urgent right now. I think it's been good to come back from losses with big wins, but with this team, it's important that we take a win like this, learn from it, get better, but just continue the momentum into this next week.
Now, back to Niners Nightly with your host, Larry Krueger, on KNBR, the sports leader.
Man, wasn't banking on that. Little CMC, a little leopard coming back. Welcome back to Niners Nightly. Larry Krueger with you on this Monday, taking your calls at 808 KNBR. We got time for two more here. Mike's in the city on the Sports Leader. What's going on, Mike?
Mike, hey, Larry, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Hey, listen, a couple of things. I'm Italian, so I like to vent, but I was saying a prayer every time McCaffrey was handed the ball up 10 in that final quarter. Yeah, I'm a bit befuddled on that one. I don't play football. I've never played football. I'm an avid sports fan. Shout out to Mac Jones. He's a stud. He's looking at a nice payday. He is wow, in the right system, sir. He is wow. He's
damn efficient, is what he is. He's incredibly efficient.
Thank you. I got a little tongue tied there. Yes. And I can take your answer off the air, but I want to ask you because I don't see. And I've been watching football I'm 47 for 42 years.
Gotcha.
I don't see a dominant team. What is the scariest team in the AFC and the NFC? Just in your opinion. I'm saying the Rams in the NFC, the AFC. To me, I don't really have one, but I thank you for your time, and I will turn on the radio right now and listen to your answer.
Appreciate you. Have a great night. As far as scariest team, well, I'll say this. It's some years it's a play the favorite. Some years it's a beat the favorite. Like, the Colts are 7-2, but Daniel Jones, it was like Sunday was like, the clock struck midnight, and he came back to being Daniel Jones of old. He had 3 picks and 2 fumbles, and it's like, that's the Daniel Jones that we really know. And we knew he was in there. And then Baltimore's not quite the same team this year. The Chiefs don't look the same. The Chargers, I would say, were my Super Bowl pick at the beginning of the year was Niners-Chargers. But the Chargers, after losing Rashawn Slater and now losing Joe Alt, they've lost their 2 bookend tackles. They've had lots of injuries. So the Chargers, to me, look really good, but maybe not Super Bowl worthy. Jacksonville looked good against the Niners. I saw them this weekend against the Raiders. They didn't look so good. Steelers have Aaron Rodgers and a pretty good defense, but I'll say this. It sounds crazy. Buffalo looks really good at times. I mean, look good against Kansas City, but then they just lost to the Falcons. So I'll say this. Right now, I think the scariest teams are the Rams in the NFC because of Stafford and that defensive line. Stafford and the weapons they have and the defensive line, and McVay's a great coach. But in the AFC, the team that I think Denver's kind of scary. They've won 6 in a row. They've got a really good defense, but I don't really believe in Bo Nix, so I can't really say they're scary. The team that I think is kind of scary is New England. They're 7-2. They've won 6 in a row. They got a really good coach. Their young quarterback is showing, that he's precocious, man. He's good. And they got multiple backs. The Patriots are the only defense in football to not allow even a 50-yard rusher against them this year. So they stuffed the run. And Vrabel's a good coach. He's built up that offensive line this year. They added Jared Smith from Georgia, great pick. They added Campbell from LSU, great pick. They had a terrific offseason, great draft. I think the Patriots are kind of scary. They're a sleeper team. If I had to go with one in the AFC, as out of everybody, I think I would probably go Broncos, Patriots, Chiefs. Those are the three. I guess you got to lean towards Mahomes and the Chiefs just because it's Mahomes and the Chiefs. But I do like Drake May, and I really do think that Denver's got a killer defense, and Sean Payton's a terrific coach. So those are the three teams in the AFC. But I guess it's Kansas City. It's probably Kansas City when it's all said and done. Buffalo owns Kansas City in the regular season. Kansas City owns Buffalo in the playoffs. One last one before we bolt. Mark's in the where's Mark? Mark's with us. His part's unknown. Wants to talk Brock Purdy. What's up, Mark?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Yeah, I respectfully disagreed with something you said. I was like, I don't know if I think we need McCaffrey and Purdy to do the Super Bowl. I would prefer Mac Jones. I think he just looks like he has way more tools, and I think his arm's better. And I trust that he looks like he stays calm. And Purdy's always had this wobbly thing where if things get dicey, he sort of falls apart is how it's always looked to me. Like he was doing it with smoke and mirrors, and he's scrappy as hell. So I love him. But to me, he's the backup quarterback. And Mac Jones is like the pro style. He's won a national championship. I think he could, in the Super Bowl, under pressure, hold up. So I think Mac Jones is the better bet there. But also trade-wise, yeah, I know. I just like him better. I loved him when he came out of college, and I just thought he was in bad situations.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong because I don't know that you are wrong. I mean, it's just I think the Niners, whether the Niners had Brock or Jones, I think both those guys could win a Super Bowl, which is crazy to say because some people think that neither can win a Super Bowl. But I think both those guys could win a Super Bowl if they had the same kind of team that Jalen Hurts had last year, where you got a killer line, a killer running game, and a killer defense. I think Brock Purdy's plenty good enough, and I think Mac Jones is plenty good enough to win a Super Bowl if you have the right surrounding cast.
Well, yeah, Brock, I mean, he got close, right? And he
got very close.
When that lineman's in his face in overtime, that's a Joe Montana moment where he's pedaling back, and if he was Joe Montana, he would have made that throw. It was makeable, even though it was a tough throw. He didn't make the throw. I don't think he's the guy. I think the league, I have a sense like they kind of think he's the guy you can figure out his tendencies and really mess with him, where Jones just seems like he has the tools that you can't totally ever figure out because he just has solid tools. But there's one thing I wanted to ask you about a trade. I never hear of this happening. I think this is what I would do. How about an offensive lineman? I never feel like I hear trades for offensive linemen, but the more time and safety we can give the quarterback, meaning the more protection, that is only going to help whoever the quarterback is. And I never see that happen. Have you ever seen that happen where you get like a last-minute trade deadline or something? I want to see a stud offensive lineman for the rest of this year. I think that would make a huge difference for protection and possibly for the run too. What do you think?
It's interesting. I mean, good offensive linemen are so coveted that they are never traded. I mean, that's kind of it right there. But I do kind of agree with you that's where it starts. And if there's two offensive linemen that really intrigue me that could be moved tomorrow. One is the Tennessee Titans have a guard named Kevin Zeitler, who's, kind of a culture player. He's just a tough ass guy. He's just really old and tough and rugged, and he would give them an awful. I mean, people were citing the greatness of Burford. He gave up at least one sack yesterday, and I thought he gave up two. He definitely got burned for one sack. Now they ran effectively behind him, but I mean, a guy like Zeitler would be really nice. The other guy is the Raiders are talking about moving Jackson Powers Johnson, and he's a 330-pound center who was really good at Oregon. Now, some people say he's got concussion issues, but if he checks out medically and they want to move him, man, I'd be one of the first teams in line. I think that's a really good young interior player that, I mean, the Niners a couple of years ago traded a 5th-round pick for Laken Tomlinson. They got a couple of really good years out of Tomlinson. I think they maybe ought to do the same with Jackson Powers Johnson. Trade a day 3 pick to the Raiders for that guy and watch him become your center or guard, for the next 5 or 6 years. I think he's got a lot of talent. He's big, he's physical, he's athletic. I really like that kid out of Oregon. Mark, have a great night, man. Appreciate the phone call and appreciate everybody who jumped in. Thanks to Raf for producing. That's going to do it for us. Monday Nighter goes to the Cardinals, man. They went on the road and they beat the Cowboys. Niners and Rams go Sunday, of course, at Levi's. Niners beat them at SoFi. Can they sweep them? That's the question. We'll talk to a number of people on Niners Nightly throughout the week from Los Angeles and get their perspective on how their season's going. But that's going to do it for us tonight. I'm going to continue some of the Niner conversation on my YouTube channel, The Krug Show, with Dieter. Dieter's going to join me tonight for a segment, so that's coming up next on YouTube. You can check me out there at The Krug Show. And thanks to everybody here. Thanks to Raf. Thanks to all of you. And we'll see you tomorrow at 6 for Niners Nightly on the Sports Leader.